Welcome everybody to Command Combat Battle Reports, and today we are doing Steel Division, which is a relatively new game. It's definitely new to me and new to this channel. I haven't ever done this one before, so it should be interesting. It's World War II, and I was doing a different World War II game before, but this one just, I think, is a lot better. Anyway, here's the table we're going to be battling on today, and yes, the units actually are on the table. They're just, it's so big that they're so small. On this table. You can see them, actually they are right in somewhere around here. They're also very well camouflaged is the thing. It's, you know, World War II. Anyway, there we go. There's some of them along that road. All those little ants down there. You can see there's the jeeps and the trucks and one unarmored car that's right there. Let's see, we got some more over here in this town. And you follow this road down and there's going to be some more down this way. Down here is a big column. We're going to put on the heads-up display, and we're going to be able to see the unit statistics. Over on this side, we have the Germans coming along that side. You can see some of their armored vehicles, and they're somewhere out there. There we go. There's some more as well. Like I say, I'll put on the heads-up display so we can actually see what they're like. I'm going to apologize in advance for my bad camera work with this. The camera on this replay isn't particularly great, but anyway, the battlefield, like I say, is rather large, and there's a big hill right there in the center, and just fields all around. It's a little too much to even go into, so let's take a look at the units. Alright, so you can see the blue ones here are the Allies, the red are the Axis, and they're all coming in along the roads. One thing that's really interesting about this game is that everything comes in via a road of some sort. Over here it's going to be two different companies with the, or are they battalions? I'm going to call them, actually, I think they're battalions. 2 battalions of the Allies against 2 battalions of the Germans. Almost said Confederates there. Anyway, alright, so all this over here is one of the battalions, and then this over here is the other one. Let's take a look at what these guys have. Kind of going down the center here, we've got some trucks and a jeep and an armored car. Not a really heavy, particularly heavy part. It's really centered in here around this town. You have somewhat of a smaller force coming along here. Staghound with some jeeps and a truck. Most of their forces along here, they're being led by a Matilda and a bunch of the infantry trucks, carrying the infantry trucks, and some jeeps as well. We're really kind of in the recon phase at this moment. There are 3 phases of each of these games, A, B, and C. A is usually when you have the recon forces going out there, B is when you have your main force, and C is kind of like the closers. Anyway, and then they have in the middle there, hanging out a little bit further from the others, I think it's another Humber, leading a couple of trucks probably of recon as well with the Jeep. You can see the roads they're going down. Looks like these are already sort of committed to this way. They're going to be probably covering this area, whereas these guys will be covering this area. I think that's what the attack beacon symbol is. I don't quite understand that yet. Anyway, and then you got the recon here with some jeeps to cover this kind of area, and then a jeep way over on their right, and their main force is right here. This is, like I say, this is the Allies. I know this is a paratrooping British group. You can see they got their anti-tank gun there, and I believe most of this is infantry along with some recon in those jeeps there. Okay, facing them on this side, this is a German armored group. I believe it's SS armored group. And you've got, of course, because of the, it's easier kind of to do the total war periods because those are back during the days when everybody had their big flags and big colors out, so you can always tell. I mean, in this case, we always know the German, but what kind of German specifically is sometimes a little harder to tell. Anyway, so they have their recon, which is some armored vehicles, and that's how you know it's definitely armored, because if their recon is armored, they've got some heavy-duty stuff. Alright, and they are going to be led over here by, I believe that is a Panzer II-C, yes, and with some troops and an armored car. And then over here you've got, they're a little smaller in number because they're an armored battalion. And over here you've got infantry, so you have a few more of the vehicles here. A lot of the trucks led by an armored carrier over here. Let's see, and they've got some people by a town too, but their town is not quite as full of troops as they have the ones over here going up these roads. It's more of the center. The Germans are more strengthened in the center, while the British, I think they're both British on this particular side, the British are stronger on their flanks. You have this town over here on their far left, the German right isn't as strong, and the British over here on their right against the Germans that directly opposed to them are armor, so they're going to be tough, but their numbers are more in the center. So it should be interesting if the Germans come pushing through the center, if they take that, and if the Allies envelop. But we're going to see. Let's push play and see how this goes. Let's go to the center. And I like how the map adjusts with you. Let's take the HUD off. Oh, although we do not see the unit types there, we can just see that. So we'll bring the HUD back here so we can see where they're going to be. You can see that they're already moving quickly towards each other, and you'll see this line adjust based on, it'd be the red is of course the Germans, blue is the British, and you're going to see that change as they take territory. You're also going to see these lines of troops move up quickly until they meet one another with their recon, and then everything kind of pulls to a stop typically. But right now they're going up. They do not see each other. We see all of them because we are in a neutral display. But here I'm going to stop real quick to show you what everybody can see. This is the different groups. Oh, okay. I thought that was going to show what General Havoc sees, which is, yeah, there we go. So this is his view, and you can see that he sees nothing at this moment. He just is kind of moving forward and has no idea what's up against him. Same over here, I believe. Their display going, yeah, they do not see anything either. They're just pushing up ahead. And you're going to see on the German side, the German armor is moving up, and they still don't know where the other is. And I'll bet you it's the same thing over here with these as well. They are just starting to see one another. They're just starting to see these trucks right up here. They don't know what they are, but they are clearly just Allied trucks, not the recon, so they're going to have to get out of there quickly because up against them is a motorcycle, not particularly tough, but... Oh, wait a minute, I thought that was a motorcycle. There we go. Not particularly tough, but they oftentimes have a machine gun on them, which they can typically take out a truck. Now they have a machine gun. Oh. Same thing here, although in this particular case, the Allies have the advantage because that's a machine gun versus an armored truck, and in that kind of a situation, I think I'd rather be in the armored vehicle. Alright, let's see how that comes out. Oh, and we also have a Jeep coming up. Oh, wait, we are back in here. Let's go into neutral view. Alright, so now we got a Jeep and we got the armored carriers. Oh, the Allies really have pushed forward, although they had some hidden a little closer up. And now the two sides are seeing each other. I'm surprised the motorcycle is backing up. I have noticed the motorcycle is a little weak. Now the Allies do have a Jeep coming up around the flank here, going to hit them on their side. However, now they're going to run into some of the German vehicles. They're going right into them. It's like a charge here. Oh boy. Although neither of them are really particularly strong. Now the troops are going to get out, and it is gunners against a bazooka man, and in that case the gunners have the advantage. Now way over here the Allies on this side have stalled. They are slowly moving up forward. They do have the trucks, but it looks like they are getting out and getting themselves set up, so they're going to make themselves into a line here. I saw that they had an anti-tank gun, which they are going to need against that truck, that vehicle coming up here that's now going to try to hide in the woods. The Jeep over here probably does not see that he's coming up upon some armored vehicles. I don't know that he's going to do that. He's just going to go to the side over there. Oh, he's just crashing through walls. Don't mind him. And now the anti-tank gun has pushed away the armored scout vehicle. Over here you have some armored vehicles moving around the side. Looks like they're going to go after the ones on this side, the Allies on the right. Now remember that the Germans were stronger in the center. And and then there that what was a Staghound, or that armored vehicles just got knocked out. The Germans were stronger in the center, but they're not really exploiting it. The Allies pushed forward with weaker units, but it started with that motorcyclist who pulled away, and that started to set the stage there. Now on the side, you remember that the Allies were stronger over here. They are not. They are not letting the initiative go to the Germans on that side. They are taking advantage, and they are pushing forward, and that is why you see a blue line over here, and there's an isolated gap over here. These guys, this anti-air is going to have a really bad morale, as will these infantrymen here who are under fire because they are cut off. You can see when there's the blue line that's around them, that means they are cut off, and you have equal fire going on. It looks like the Germans have a little bit better cover, but their morale should be down because of the fact that you have this here, and their closest units that they would be falling back to are themselves falling back. All right, and so the Germans now are trying to pull up a line. It looks though like they are running away, and so their advantage in the center has been neutralized, and the British are bringing up their tank here. And so they are taking advantage. They are taking the initiative in the center there. The Germans are starting to bring in a whirlwind to take out any air power, although I've not yet seen any air power happening in this. Alright, they have pushed back some of the infantry that's coming at them, but this is really a paper tiger here. Well, now the Allies, it's not really a paper tiger anymore. The Allies really have brought in some strength there. Oh, and we have gotten all the way to the far right on this, no, I'm sorry, I was looking at the map wrong. Alright, so way over here on the right, looks like the Germans are now starting to envelop the Allies, the British who are on this hill. The British set themselves up on this hill to make a stand and are firing at them to hold them back, which they are doing up here and here, but the Germans then are taking advantage of that moment and creeping around the flank to hit them on all sides. Let's take a look at this setup. Oh, it looks like they did put up an anti-tank gun, which is trying to fire down at the Germans that are down there. And I see something is on fire down there, so they have been holding them off. Oh, it was a Jeep. Oh, no, armored vehicle. Okay, so they are holding them back on that side, and they have another anti-tank set up there as well. So now they are managing to hold them back, and it looks like that has stopped that line. So over here, they're sort of holding the line. It is paratroopers against armor, and so that's usually the best that paratroopers are going to do there, getting themselves set up. And you can see some reinforcements are pulling up here, right up along this road. A new Jeep that is apparently a recon unit that's going to go up there and figure out where they are. I think they're just sort of firing blind, so they need some recon over here. Alright, and they have recon over here watching, and the Germans could walk over them, but they are not moving them forward. They're probably a little bit afraid of that line there. Even though these British are not moving, they are really strong there, and it looks like they have just about anything they need. Some in that copse of trees and some in that larger group of trees. Alright, over here in the center, now the British move forward, linking up with their left. That's why they look so strong there, and they're making a major push. In the center, the Germans have come back and are pushing forward a little bit, but cautiously. They're not really doing a lot. It looks like they're making their strongest attack here on their right, our left, and on the other flank as well, although that side has stalled. All these sides have really stalled at this particular point. I just need that HUD to see where the heck everybody is. There we go. Alright. Yeah, without that, it is hard to see where everybody is. It's just a lot of them, and that's one of the things about this. It's quite realistic. It winds up being just people sniping each other from afar, and these guys are sitting out there in the middle of the road. That is not particularly realistic or a good idea. So, lesson to be learned, do not stand in the middle of the road because the red line thingy will go and take over the blue line thingy. Now it looks like, oh, the Germans have relinked here. You remember that this was isolated, but these troops held out long enough. That is Jap, the Commander Jap, and Brumman have held. It looks like they're worried, but they don't need to be too worried because they have held out really well against them to give those men an Iron Cross. Look at all that British infantry there firing on them, but they held out for so long until the Germans have come back, and now they're coming back around. Oh, somebody tried to flank them, but got killed in the middle of the road. Again, lesson of the day. Do not stand out in the middle of the road in the middle of a world war. So they're going to bring up their explosives. I mean, this has turned into... oh, now they're falling back. I was going to say that this has turned into a stalemate, and they're going to bring forward a mortar. And that would have been a really strong thing to break the stalemate. The Germans would have been holding them back with their infantry here. I'm going to pause for a second. What they would have been doing was holding them back with the infantry, bring the mortar up, and just start blowing up the British that are there. But now that they're falling back and they're just going to have a Panzerschreck up there, that is not going to be enough from an assault by the British. So you're going to see them charge up there and take this whole area back. They just do not have anything to hold them. Meanwhile, the British have moved up here into this town. You remember this town was an important part of the beginning of setup. They now have taken that, and they are taking basically their entire left flank. That's going to fold to the British. And now over here, now I'm calling them British. I think they might, like I say, I think they might have been Canadian. I'm going to have to figure out how to... Oh, well, actually, you can see up here, that's 3rd Canadian Infantry, so I'm going to start calling them the Canadians or the Canucks, as long as I'm not offending too many people. So the Canadians, as always, are doing really well. They actually, historically, did very, very well. We think of them as nice people, but apparently don't want to go to war with them. Anyway, so, like I say, the Canadians have pushed there, gotten into that town, are folding around the left of the Germans. The Germans have this line of, what are these here? I know that there's, let's see, I know there's a name for it, a IG-40, or LG-40. They're basically, they can be used really well against infantry, and there's sort of like a line of them, and so that's going to probably be able to stop them. I'm predicting that the Canadians are going to get up to here and just get stopped, especially with this motorcycle over here. Although the motorcycle is supposed to be recon, they typically aren't supposed to engage. So it's probably going to stop a line right along here. I mean, yes, you have how many Canadians? 1, 2, 3, 4 Canadians against just the 2 that are here, 2 or 3. But I think they're going to be able to hold that line, so you're going to wind up seeing, and then of course you have some more here. So you're going to see this become a bit stalled before the Canadians are going to be able to push in a little further, especially because the Germans are starting to come along here. And the Germans have pushed forward in their center. Again, that was always their strength. They really didn't take much advantage of it, but it seems more like they haven't really taken this area here, but they're kind of using it to unfold on the Brits that are over here on the right. The Brits are way back over here, but they have created that line, and they're holding it. In fact, they're bringing their machine gun down here. Let's take a look and see what they're doing. They're bringing a machine gun down to this other area. They have this anti-tank gun with a mortar that's been knocking at them, and now they have this recon unit we saw earlier has gotten there, and they've managed to cause a lot of these armored vehicles to fall back. I mean, remember, this is a heavy German armor unit. However, phase B, when that comes along, that's when they're going to get the really heavy armor. Remember, all of this that's going on is still the first phase when it's all recon, so nobody's had really serious units come in yet. It's more about establishing lines at this point, and it looks like I was just waiting for that anti-tank gun to fire, but it looks like that, oh no, the SDFK is coming out of there, and we're going to see one get shot here pretty soon, but I'm putting way too much time on there. Seeing, there we go, and it got hit, and we're starting to see a firefight over here, although it's with German grenadiers versus some recon, some scouts, and so it looks like the British are bringing in some reinforcements. Oh, but it is artillery and then maybe some infantry, so the infantry's a little too crowded here, so my prediction is they're probably going to go over here to try to reinforce on that side. Let's take a quick look and see what they do. They're both heading over there to the right. Looks like they're going to set up in this little park area again with the artillery. And will he go right or left? Yes, he's going to go right. He's going to try to fend off them on that center area. Germans cannot seem to push through here. They've just parked their vehicles at this point. Looks like they're just going to wait for Phase B to come in, which they have some reinforcements coming in, but they're probably going to wait for Phase B to really get going there. The British, the Canadians rather, as I predicted, have stopped, and it has now become a firefight here. They're both going to try to bring in mortars, I presume, and and their carrier's trying to bring in some troops, and it's getting hit. But yeah, I think that both sides are just going to reinforce that and wait for their strong hitters to come in Phase B. Alright, well, in fact, here come their reinforcements to set that up. The Germans they fell back to a certain position, but now they've stopped to protect themselves. They have protected themselves pretty well, because one British unit is falling back. We got 2 more coming in here. This is going to be a pretty good fight coming in with these guys here. But the British do have more, or the Canadians do have more reinforcements coming in. Sorry, Canadians, for continuing calling you British. I know you are independent. Don't kill me with your kindness. Alright, so you can't even see this happening in the woods, but that's going to be, it's probably better to see with the HUD because of the fact that you just cannot see what's going on there. Speaking of not see, let's see what's happening with the Germans over here. Alright, so there's a lot of long-range fire going on here. Looks like they've got one of the machine guns, but they have plenty of others. Here's Air Force finally that we're seeing. This looks like it is one of the grasshoppers to see where the Germans are, and they're certainly seeing them because they're being shot out of the sky there. Let's take a quick look. Oh yeah, and he got shot down. Grasshopper's gone. That grasshopper lasted a long time against that Air Force. Oh, and there we go. It's because German 109 came into there. I wonder if we can follow. No. Alright, I think there is a way to do that, but this is all we're doing for now. Alright, So yeah, you notice that the battlefield kind of fell a little bit silent there. Part of it's the reason we came back, but also you see that there isn't a huge amount of movement like there was before. They're stopping, although the Canadians are slowly creeping forward. They are just really aggressive. They're like, we're not going to just allow ourselves to get stopped here. We are constantly on the move. We are constantly moving forward. We've seen what happens with the Brits when they try to do a static defense. That machine gun fire from the motorcycle's happening, and now the Canadians are saying, yeah, we got a bigger gun. Ours is bigger than ours is bigger than yours, pal. Alright, so now the motorcycle is pulling back. And Phase B has begun, so you're going to start seeing both sides bringing in some heavier things. Let's take a look over here on this side, because the German armor is probably going to be bringing in some big guns. Although they might not be able to right away, they might have to save up some points for a little while. They have some of these guys going in here and then pushing towards, not, I was thinking the center, but no, it's still sort of their left, our right at the moment. They have a lot of their vehicles just stopped here. They're not even trying to push forward. They're going to just defend it. It looks like they've got enough field. You get points by having the field. Oh, yeah, that's right. That is the center. It's just they haven't been really pushing straight up the center. The roads aren't really set up for that. But they're using this to pinch out this. They're really just trying to pinch this area rather than push forward. Although it's interesting, they could go down to this road and come down here and then get behind the Canadians. But I guess they just... they're not ready for that sort of thing. Alright, so now you can see these Cromwells are coming in, going, alright, we are ready to finally take on these Germans. We're going to get set up in this field, and they were probably going to stop having this be the Germans. You can see over here who has more points and who has more of the field. Germans still have 57% of the field, and that is because of this right line. And that center. The center is really what's killing the Allies right now. The fact that the Germans went up, took it, and the Allies are not taking it back. On the right, they're just holding their position, and on the left, they're pushing forward, but not fast enough. They're not taking the land that they can just grab. In fact, they just lost a little bit there. They're far in the front, but not like this big chunk. I mean, there's a bunch of empty land right there. The Brits or the Canadians could take back, but instead, they're pushing forward with their Cromwells, and it looks like, oh, they're now getting hit by some anti-tank guns. The other Cromwell sees that and doesn't want any part of it, so they're going to stall for a little while. And the Germans are going to destroy their own armored vehicle there. I mean, it wasn't a running armored vehicle, but the one that the Cromwell was hiding behind. And I don't see, there we go. It is always so hard to find these guys. There he is inside there. That's actually what makes it difficult to fight against them. I mean, in general, oh, there we go. It's really well hidden inside there. There it is. That's, of course, what you always want to do in this kind of a war situation, is get yourself hidden so that the enemy cannot see you to shoot at you. I don't even know how they were seeing. Alright, now the Cromwells... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let's say Staghound is pushing forward to see... Apparently they didn't see that tank hunter was still there. Now it is finally falling back. And they're shooting at it as much as they possibly can so it does not get away. Pushing forward to take that land. Now you can see the Brits are finally starting to take their land back, and they're trading fire with them up in this region as well. And the Germans are falling back in that area, and the Brits are exploiting enough to just enough to bring a jeep forward to take a look at them, but not really claiming a lot of land. Actually, the Germans are just holding it with this one. Oh, with a commander. The one person holding it there is a single commander with his bodyguard. They are keeping all of that land and causing them to win this battle. In fact, they had a little bit more than that percentage there, especially because over here I think that they've stalled out and may be getting pushed back a little bit. You can see some of them running there. They're running to, there we go. They're starting to open fire on what looks like a machine gun back there. They are behind cover. And it's a machine gun, so that doesn't work very well. Even if you have the numbers, even if the Canadians have the numbers, it's I guess they're putting a lot of suppression fire, but it's not really doing a lot. Now the Germans are bringing forward a Stug, set it up in position. That is going to wreak some major havoc on that infantry. Let's see what's going on over here. Now you can see that the Brin carriers. I was going to say the Canadians have some armor, but they don't have that. You do have a sniper, but he's a little bit far forward. He's in that building because he's picking them off, And the Germans are getting picked off. However, they got just so many there that you need to do more than just trade fire with them. Let's see what that Stug was doing now. It looks like it's in position. And yeah, now it is bringing down some holy hell on these guys, and now the infantry is going to pull back, and they are out there in the open. That is not a good place for them. Alright, the Germans over here have brought... Now, what are these two units? It is... Oh, let's see here. It's a division in... Oh. No. Fallschirmjägers and Panzers. So, SS Panzers. So these are Fallschirmjägers. Oh, that's why they're so tough. In fact, those guys who are isolated, come to think of it, earlier when we saw those guys isolated over here, they would not actually be considered isolated because they are Fallschirmjägers. That means that they are paratroopers and they're used to being alone. And now you can see the Canadians are starting to fall back. However, they're regrouping inside the town. You're going to see them probably try to make a stand there. I saw some German flamethrowers, so that might change things a little bit. But they're getting themselves defended there so they can be holding that territory. Over here, they're holding their ground on the land. However, you do have one group, a bit too far forward, and they're paying the price for it. Now they're pulling back. They got a Stug that knocked them out of there and saying, you get out of there. Now, are they still holding over here? Yes, okay, so the Germans still have their bulge there. This really is kind of like Battle of the Bulge because they have this gigantic bulge. The reason why there's that bulge is because the Airborne, the 6th Airborne British troops here have, I wonder if they have their red caps on. Yeah, it looks like they got their berets. I'm going to put the HUD off. Oh, I can't even see them. There we go. Oh, no, they have the helmets. Anyway, they have the troops to hold their territory, but they're not really pushing forward. I mean, this is an aggressive game. You're supposed to take land. However, I don't really know for certain what one does in this sort of situation when you have airborne troops against SS armor. I mean, the toughest armor there is. There'd be fewer of them, but each one would be so incredibly strong. I guess that's what you do. You bring in these bombers who now throw down a bunch of bombs, hoping to destroy some of that armor so that they can push forward, and then you bring in your Cromwells. And now, of course, when you bring in your air, the Germans can bring in theirs, and so they have their Staghound AA well positioned. And it looks like, the bomb did its job. It caused a lot of havoc here, and now the anti-tank guns and the tanks are wreaking havoc on the remainder of them. They're down to pretty much infantry there. In position for the Allies to make the push forward. However, they seem to only have one Cromwell left and seem a little gun-shy about doing it. This has been the biggest problem, actually, with the 6th Airborne in this particular fight. They're not going to be pushed back. They're too fearless and too good at holding their position the whole game they've been here, but they need to take more territory in order to win this game. It looks like they have a lot of artillery, so they are hitting this position hard, and that it seems to be that sort of, they're playing British the way the British really were. Very cautious, holding position, and then bomb the hell out of them and then push forward. And that seems to be what they're doing. The Germans are getting knocked pretty hard. However, now, as you can see, they are bringing forth their Jagdpanzer, this is going to be a game changer. Whoops, told you that the camera is not very good on this thing. But alright, so here we go. Here comes the Jagdpanther. This thing is going to be a badass. However, the British have really not brought back forward a lot of tanks. This will really chew up their Cromwells. So it's going to be hard for them to make an advance. I mean, they have hit them kind of hard. It would be the time now to take that land, to push forward, or it would have been, but now, by this point, that Jagdtiger is in there. And now the Germans, once again, are making a push here with some infantry. They're getting up to the edge of the hill, but every time they get close to there, they just get hit with everything and just destroyed, as you can see. That is, the British have been doing a lot of damage. I would not want to have been one of these Germans, but the German commanders are like, hey, we still have our bulge. And, that's what commanders always say. At least at the ladies' clubs, we got our bulge, lady. Alright. It looks like a lot of smoke's been put down. This is probably by the Canadians, so they can make a push forward. And sure enough, they are pushing into those Fallschirmjägers, making them fall back, leading with a Staghound, and hitting the infantry and a mortar there, taking out the mortar, And now they have that flank covered. So they have their far left now covered and will be able to push forward and sweep through there. You do have a little bit of armor, but not that much. They also have a Wolverine in there. And then the Wolverine, very well armored, very well protected, is going after... Oh, anybody in that building is going to be hit hard. I mean, it is meant to hunt tanks, but a building will be a good target as well. And some of the infantry out there in the open. Now that's usually what is going to be more powerful against a tank hunter. Oh, in fact, they took out the track, so they did do their job, and now they're getting out of there. They're like, okay, well, we did what we needed to do. Now we're going to fall back, so the Canadians will not be able to push forward with their Wolverine, but with everything else, they'll be able to go while the Germans retreat. This is the only hope of the Germans on their right side. And they have indeed taken out an armored vehicle and are using a machine gun to hold back. Well, that is what the Fallschirmjägers are like. They are there to hold out against large numbers. They're getting hit in two directions, and now they're falling back. The Wolverine may be out of commission in terms of being able to move, but they're not out of commission in terms of being able to fire. So now you can see the line is pushing forward once again. The Germans still have 52%, but the Canadians have been really making filling this gap. They have been the ones who have been pushing forward. The Brits really have been cautiously standing their ground, keeping that stiff upper lip, I suppose. Alright, and now... What is this? This is one of the tanks that's moving around. A Ram 2. I've actually never heard of a Ram before, but he's going after a German machine gunner who's just coming up around. He's like, yeah, that is not a good position to be in, little machine gun, especially when you're... Oh, wait a minute, that is a bit more than a machine gun, isn't it? He's firing at him. Oh, it is definitely more than a machine gun. It can do some damage to that thing. Well, it needs operators in order to do damage, and they are dead now. So, looks like... Oh, let's put on the HUD again. Alright, looks like there's a empty area for the Canadians to take advantage of, and in usual form, they are taking advantage of it. They are pushing forward, all of them making that move. This right here, now the Germans really have an advantage here because there's just a Piat holding them, but instead they're moving their... Actually, I think they're moving their reinforcements to go after the Canadians, because they're probably a little bit worried there. But they could be sweeping in here and come in behind the Canadians and really do something there. And in this, the supplies matter. You could go in there, just sweep through that. Instead, right now... Oh, and here, well, the British finally have understood that there's a gap there, have gone in there, are cleaning it up with their with one of their scouts. Meanwhile, they're bringing forward a medium tank. This is a Firefly 5. So this is going to be able to take on other tanks, but there really isn't much in the way of tanks up here. This up here is mostly infantry holding. He really needs that over here to take on the Jagdpanther, because I'm sure he is... Yeah, in fact, he's taking on the Cromwell, and you can see the wheels are destroyed. Cromwells have actually moved forward. You can see this is where what the Germans were holding before. If I could zoom it back, I'd take a look and see what that is, because this was their position, but the British have clearly decided that it is time to make their move and push forward, and boy did they ever do it. I mean, this was very much a British kind of way of doing it. You can see all of the artillery fire and the damage that it did. That cleared the way. They've pushed forward with their Cromwells and are pushing through all of that. They have taken out all of the defenders that were there. They've come up to this part of the hill here, and they're pushing forward along that road. But this might be too little too late, because as you can see, there was the Jagdpanther we had already seen just waiting from there, and another one on its way. So that against four Cromwells, I really think the Jagdpanthers have the advantage here. Now one of them sitting there with his face towards the Jagdpanther while it's shooting at someone. Now it sees the danger. It's trying to pull back. It's going to get out of there. So let's see if this works. I mean, smoke goes there, but that's because it's moving back. Oh yeah, they are moving as fast as they can. They do not want to take on that Jagdpanther. And looks like they're firing somebody else. Oh, this guy didn't get the memo. This one Cromwell is going, okay, well, oh wait, is there something over there? Oh, I'm getting hit. I'm getting out of here. Oh no, that's a Challenger actually. And the Challenger is the tougher of the of these British tanks, but it still knows that it's not much of a it's not much of a competition against two giant Yog Panthers. So you can see also some air powers coming in there trying to break that stalemate. And so yeah, that was a smart move of the Challenger, even though it's a heavier tank. It pulled back, and so that the Challengers can come along the flank. Yeah, they're gonna take out any reinforcements, and of course they've taken out some of these German forces that were there before, who are falling back. And the best thing they can do is send these Cromwells up the side while the Challenger takes on the Yog Panther from the front. However, he did do some damage to it, to its front, and that is causing the Yog Panther to pull back. And now is going to become a competition between the Yog Panther and the Challenger. That is an interesting fight that's going on. And it looks like the Challenger made the Yog Panther pull back, but now the Challenger is on fire. It does it with the Challenger, and that was one of their more important tanks. So that is out of there. The Cromwells are still pushing, or at least that Cromwell is pushing forward while the Yog Panther is still up and operational. They are taking more space, but it is inadvisable, especially seeing as they have a Tiger coming up on the far left. So you have a Yog Panther and a Tiger going up there. The best thing for these British to do is what they were doing earlier, is to pull back. Now this is the time that you want to pull back and defend. Unfortunately, this game is of course dependent on taking land, which was a good thing for them to do here, but it looks like they pulled back. I mean, really, it's up to the Canadians, and look at how much they've taken. They had their gains, and they did not waste them. They are continuing to push forward to take that land. Finally, for the first time, the Allies are ahead of the Germans. By the way, we are in Phase 3, or Phase C. That is why we've had so many of the bigger tanks in here. That means that they are starting to bring in more points. However, will they be able to catch up with them? It looks like, yeah, there's the points. Victory points 227 to 1929. It is too little too late. I mean, they certainly are taking more of the territory, but this is not a game based on what you had at the end, like, battle would be. This is based on how long you had more territory. So it seems a little goofy to me, seeing as, a battle doesn't really matter who did well during it. It matters who won at the end. But whatever. The Canadians have just pushed through. You can see the line has just made it through. They've made it through that gap. I think that's really more of what mattered on D-Day. But anyway, so now they're bringing forward a tank. Their Wolverine is coming around their flank. That is, again, their tank hunter. They really need that where they have the heavier tanks. They do have some Stugs up against them. Actually, you could use regular... Well, here we go. There's another Wolverine against that Stug. Oh, it looks like they hit each other. Tracks, wheels are damaged but not destroyed. But this one was just incinerated. The Stug was absolutely... got off its shot. I'm surprised it didn't destroy the Wolverine, because Wolverines can be a little weak in terms of the armor, even though they can do a lot of damage physically. Germans are bringing in from some reinforcements, but it looks like it's a desperate maneuver because it's some infantry. They have some more armor firing from back there. The wheels were damaged yet again, and they're coming back at what looks like the Stug again. So it looks like the Fallschirmjägers had the Stugs, while of course, the heavy armor, the SS armor had some really heavy armor. And man, they just got hit with a whole bunch. You have a lot of infantry in here. They're getting hit with some high explosives. Fighting against, it's an anti-tank gun. I'm surprised the anti-tank gun is doing as well against them. I mean, yes, it is high explosive fire, but they're doing quite a bit too. It is it's the armor that's doing that. Two Stugs that are firing at this infantry. Yeah, that's gonna certainly scare them. They're pinned down, falling back, but they are still staying in that position overall, and so they're holding that while the rest of this line is slowly making its way forward. This one tank has got so much damage that is going to cost a lot when he takes it into the shop, but he keeps getting hit by something out there, and he should be firing back. That Stug is getting hit from in the flank, so he should be taking some damage. It's just everybody is everywhere here. You have the infantry is trying desperately to hold on to this building here. The rest of this infantry is trying to push up around behind, but not able to quite do enough. The only ones not running are the ones that are pinned down. However, they have made it quite a ways. You can see their line has gone way up there. The Germans, meanwhile, are holding on so that they don't shift over towards the right and come around and cut them all off. I mean, you can see overall the battle has gone very well for the British and Canadians. There was some criticism that the British were just holding over here while the Canadians going up there and doing all the damage. But in a regular battle situation, you want to use your infantry just to hold them at bay while the others go up and do a left hook. That's certainly a smart plan. Now, both the Canadians and British, in this case, had the same types of troops overall. They were up against two different things. The Germans, in this case, had the heavy armor over here, and the infantry in the other area. So that seemed like a wise choice. However, every time that these Brits try to make a push forward, that you have, as before, you have 2 Tigers now and some Jagdpanthers. This is pretty disastrous for the Allies. Just look at that; those are beautiful tanks, and with those 88 guns, they're just hitting way across the table there. You can see that. There's some artillery coming in, firing down on those Tigers, trying to do some damage to them. Not quite there. 105s. You really need 155s to do a lot there. The Cromwells are falling back. They tried to push around there. In fact, do they have any pushing around up here now? No? Oh yeah, there we go. You got one Cromwell that's trying to push up there. But now he's up against Jagdpanthers. So you go up on the hill, you got Jagdpanthers and Panzer IVs, and you go down here and you've got Tigers to deal with. Oh, and a Jagd... Did I saying that right? Jagdpanther, yep. Oh man, you have 2 Tigers pulling back to go with the Jagdpanther up against what they have here. Actually, the British are going to be lucky to hold on to what they have. They do have some anti-tank guns, but those don't necessarily do a lot against these German heavy armor pieces. And then up here you just have infantry. Those Germans could push forward and start taking that. Although I think what they're afraid of is exposing their flank to some of them that are up here. And of course you have these 2 Cromwells just kind of waiting for them up there. So that could be worrisome for them. So you kind of once again have a bit of a stalemate. The air power and the artillery is trying to stop that stalemate. Once again, you also have this gap in the middle. It is unanswered. The British are not exploiting it or not stopping it. All they have to do is cut right across there. You have 1 infantry that you can easily sweep aside, and they're just lounging in that field. Look at that. They're just kind of out there for a jog. Nice morning jog. They're going to just run around, take as much territory as possible, because again, that's how you win a war. Sure. Right, and so the Canadians now, look at all those flamers there. They are prepared to do assaults. You have a Firefly moving up here, although you hardly need the Firefly because you're mostly, well, you do have the anti-tank gun, but the Firefly is mostly to go through armor. You just don't have a lot of armor over here. What they need is to take out that infantry, and the infantry needs to take out that anti-tank gun, which they are now currently trying to do. See if they do anything. I'm just waiting for them to fire. Alright, so that firefight is going to go on for a little while there. And you do have anti-tank gun versus a tank. The Wolverine is trying to take out the anti-tank gun. That is a question of aiming, whereas the anti-tank gun just needs to get through the armor. And it keeps bouncing. I'm surprised. I would think the Wolverine would not be that strong in terms of its armor. Let's take this off and take a look at what's going on down here on the field. It's hard to say whether or not that anti-tank gun is taken out, because you see an explosion. I'd be very bad at the real world war because of the fact that I would see an explosion and be like, oh, they're done. Oh, and it turns out in this case they were done. And now the Germans are just hanging on by the skin of their teeth with Harold and Kumar here, just 2 infantry units, and the Wolverine's going to come over to help join the fight. They are bleeding some units, but it doesn't look very good for them. However, once again, this is a land territory game, And so, as the Canadians move over here to take on this infantry, the Germans just simply move in a couple of light vehicles to take back some space. And they've actually done a bit of damage here. It looks like they brought in... oh, okay, it was one of their Stugs. Actually, they've been stronger with their Stugs over here, even though the anti-tank guns of the Canadians are over there. And so they're taking advantage of that and pushing forward and starting to gain some ground once again, breaking out a bit. Now, yeah, alright, and then they're sort of holding all along this field while pushing forward with some of these. Their best position now would be to hold and then keep on pushing here in a moment. There's less than 5 minutes left in this game, and so they're going to try to take as much territory as they can. They, of course, still have an infantry to do that, so he can push forward. And then over here, I mean, basically it's turned into two fights, which you kind of expect from a 2-on-2 player game. You've had the Canadians just completely pushing forward over here on the left, sweeping around, but always getting stopped, not being allowed to do their full sweep maneuver, getting stopped before they do that, but definitely slow but steady progress, which again was the historical Canadians were very much that way. And the British are actually kind of doing what the British did, getting into position and hurling insult at them. No, hurling artillery at them and hitting them with anti-tank guns. The anti-tank guns are coming back at them. This is the Tiger, who is getting a little worried from the anti-tank gun coming at him, and he's not really able to see the anti-tank gun very well. Oh, and did he hit? Oh, he hit something, but that was not the anti-tank gun. It looked like he did, but man, that was a big explosion. Big HE round. Oh, it looks like some bombs just landed there. That would have been from one of the bombers going by, and that must have caused... Oh, there's another one. Oh, and that fuel explosion took out a Tiger. Was that the one that was firing? It's hard to say, but yes, it was. He just simply had turned because he got hit with those bombs, and that Tiger is now out of there because of the bombs. Yes, there's another Allied tactic. What do when you're up against tanks that are way too big for you? You just simply send in the artillery and the air power and blow the heck out of them. Alright, and then they're also holding off here with just a couple of infantry units. I think that they just are leaving their bazooka guy to... Oh, there's that one guy who's like, no, screw it, I ain't hiding. I'm standing up here like the old days. Yeehaw! For some reason I'm Southern, even though I'm a British soldier. I'm just going to stand here and insult them by not taking cover and looking at them. And he's standing up against a Panther, and another Panther back there, and a bailed out Panzer IV. Here comes that Panther, gonna face off against I Ain't Scared of Nothing Joe here. Oh no, he's not gonna go after I Ain't Scared of Nothing Joe. He's going shooting at somebody further away. He's just not even gonna waste the time with him. The other guy's just like, I won't even shoot at the guy who's standing out. You know, since you're not buttoned up, I'll just sit here. All right, what is he firing at? Looks like he's firing at the artillery park back here. Meanwhile, the Brits are bringing in some more Cromwells in the back there. It looks like they're probably going to try to make another attack. You have an anti-tank gun that's out here in the open for... Oh, yeah, they've pushed forward, and they're going to start firing at some of those Panthers that have come out. Although it looks like they're stopping for the time being. There's some artillery firing down, on those Panthers on the hill. Maybe that's what the anti-tank gun was, that guy was waiting for him to come out of the hiding. And that artillery fire has caused the Panthers to pull back a little bit, and the Panzer IV, there's a Panzer IV coming in to help reinforce them and get their morale back up. Alright, and then you can see another Jagdpanther way back there, and another one just sort of sitting out here. I think they're just sort of guarding that center. I think they've seen that center as their refuge this entire time. That has been, not that just a refuge, but that has been their bank this entire time. They've just kind of had that gap, and that's where they've been getting their points. Again, since this game is not based on victory at the end, but rather how many points you spend, or how much time you spend having a territory. Which, that worked so well for Germany because, they controlled France, or they controlled pretty much all of Europe through most of the war, so that means they won it, right? Doesn't matter what happened at the end. Doesn't matter that the Canadians have now broken through and the British have been destroying all the German tanks. In fact, you can see more of them have just surrendered because they've just been pounded so hard. Oh no, no, I'm sorry. That is the British who are holding there. Remember, there was a small contingent there that was holding them. So, okay, that means the Germans have won. Anyway, they are pushing forward with those Panthers. Okay, something still could happen. We still have about a minute left of this game. They are pushing forward with their Panthers, and the British, yeah, they are moving forward with their Cromwells. And this should be interesting, seeing as the German Panzers are moving forward and the Cromwells are moving around their sides. So they're each sort of circling around one another. I don't think anything's going to happen on the other side. Yeah, they pretty much stalled where they are. So let's see if this armor can get into a fight before we end. In 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there you go. There you have it. That is the end of the battle, and it does not show the battlefield at the end. But anyway, so you can see the points to reach, 2,500 in 40 minutes. You can see what everything is here. It is a minor defeat for the British and the Canadians. Again, even though they had pushed forward, it's more about who owns the territory for the longest, which, again, that worked super well for Germany historically. But here they get their minor victory. They had 965 and 964 against 690 and 690. That's interesting. I'm surprised, actually, that the Brits got almost as much, or the Brits got the same amount as the Canadians because they never held more land. But anyway, they did get a lot of kills. Actually, the Canadians once again got more kills, so they should have gotten more points in general. But anyway, let's see. And then there's a history for any of the people who want to take a quick look at any of that. You can see that going by. Kills, 6 pounders. This is all the kills from them, losses, and experience. Alright, so that will do it for us here. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be interested to explore this a little more, see if there are different scenarios and, you know, how to get points and all that sort of thing. But at any rate, I am impressed with this. You get to really do a replay and see the battle from both points of view, which is the way we like to do them here. We don't like to do battles so much from one point of view as much as from the overall point of view. After all, you do not watch a football game from the one team's point of view. You watch it from both. So that's what we're hoping to do here at Command Combat Battle Reports. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe. Keep on watching us, and watch our other videos that we've had throughout the years. Happy gaming, everybody.